Good evening, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Hope you're there. I've got Dan doing the backstage work today, so that's why you get that lovely countdown with the flashing numbers. It's all very technical. So welcome to everyone who's a regular and comes here every week to do the drawing, so you know what to do. But if you're tuning in for the first time, let me explain. I used to do an art class in a pub. It was very enjoyable because I could go around and see what everyone was doing. But then, of course, the virus came, so the pub shut. So we decided to do it online. Well, Isolation Station invited me to do it online, which is lovely, but I couldn't really see what people were drawing. So we decided to have the chit-chat element as well. So it's drawing and talking. And it's nice because I get to chat with all my friends. So if you want to art today, my guest is Kate Greenslade, who I don't know very well, and I met her about 15. Oh, hi, Pauline. I met her about 15 years ago when I worked in Denmark Street, which was otherwise known as Tin Pan Alley. And she's got a background in music because her dad was a prog rock musician in Colosseum, and then he ran a band called Greenslade, which was named after him. Anyway, she ran the Tin Pan Alley Studios, and then she ran the Denmark Street Festival. And so because I worked in the job centre, I was the manager of job, and she asked me if we could borrow the job centre for dressing rooms. So we did. So I had to go to work on a Sunday, and I remember I had a terrible hangover just to open up, but it was great fun. It was really nice. So that's my guest. But anyway, she doesn't music anymore. She does mindfulness. And I think in these times, we all need a bit of mindfulness to help. Because even me, who I don't think I'm of a nervous disposition, sometimes feel a bit odd about what's going on. So the more we can do to help, the better. And other people, hi, Jennifer. Other people have discovered as well that drawing's really good for your mindfulness. Because if you're looking and concentrating on what you're doing, you completely forget what's going on around you. So if you're a bit bored, you think you're feeling a bit nervous, just look in your flat, just look at something and draw it and see what happens. Or you could get one of those funny drawing, colouring in books. That's meant to help you as well. But I think to draw your own thing's better. So the model will try and stay still. To be honest, she's in quite a still position. But if you want to take a screenshot to draw on the side, that'll be marvellous. You're very welcome to do that. And then when you finished oh, hi, Debbie. Hi. Then when you finish your picture, you can send it to Isolation Station through Facebook Messenger. Then we'll make up the little album probably tomorrow. Because I love the album. Last week's was very popular. We had loads of pictures, so it was lovely. And and don't think to yourself, if you were thinking to yourself, oh, I just listen, I don't want to draw, just look around your house, see if you've got a pencil, bit of paper, and have a go. Because you might surprise yourself. You never know what you can do. So anyway, I've gibbered on enough. Look at my hair, it's a bit greasy. So, Maggie, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I don't want to brag, but Maggie, I love her at the moment because she thought, because of my art class, I should be made a dame in the New Year honours. That would have been hilarious, wouldn't it? But thanks, Maggie, I was thrilled. I've already planned my outfit to wear to the palace. Anyway, enough about me. Let me introduce you to Kate, who you might think she's local. Oh, no. She's coming to us from Valencia in Spain. So welcome, Kate.
Hi.
Hi, Kate.
Hey, Sue. Thanks for the lovely intro.
Oh, I'm glad it was nice. Now, perhaps you'd like to tell everyone what you were doing today to make them all a little bit jealous.
Well, so me and my husband recently moved to Valencia. It was, last November. And today it was so lovely. We went to the beach. So, I'm really sorry. Although I do miss the rain because there's not, obviously it doesn't rain too much here. And so when there is rain, I'm like right outside and I just, oh my God, I love it. I'm videoing it.
There's plenty here, I'm afraid to say. Plenty of.
I have to
But to be honest, I went down to the beach Saturday and it wasn't too bad. And then some people I know are still going swimming. I'm not, because I'm too much of a sissy.
That'd be too cold for me, I think.
I know, I'm too much of a sissy. So, Kate, let me talk about what I know about you. So when I met you, you were working as running the Tin Pan Alley Studios, was it? Or the Denmark Street Studios? And how did you get into that job?
Yeah, Tim Alley Studios. Oh my God, it feels like a million years ago now. But I think I just always I wanted to work in studios, and I can't remember how I got there actually. I think it was. Oh God, I really don't know. But it was the first of a few studios that I then managed. That was like yeah. So I was there for about a few years, and then out of that was born the Tin Pan Alley Festival, which is how we met, and that was so much fun. And I ran that for 5 years. And I mean, as you know, yeah, Tin Pan Alley's changed quite a lot. Denmark Street's now really not what it was. A lot of the
Do you
music.
know a man called Flea used to work in the record, the big what?
I do, yeah. He was in.
Yeah.
He lives there, of course, yeah.
I saw him on the street. I thought I recognised that man from Denmark Street.
That's so funny. Has he got pug dogs?
Yeah, and he's got a wife with lovely yellow hair.
That's right.
Yellow, lovely. Yes.
Yeah, he's very cool. He was always very nice. But yeah, it was a really fun time working down there. Just loved it. Yeah, kind of miss it a little bit, but I don't really miss London because I had to get out of the city. It was too much, you know. Just in fact, this kind of really ties in with feeling, you know, that sort of overwhelm of work and stress, and like everything is just like switched on constantly. It's like there's just never an off switch, and I think it can just be a bit too much if you're just doing that all the time. So yeah, we moved out of London about 5 years ago.
Yeah, where did you move to first?
We moved to a funny small little town called Burnham on Crouch, which no one has ever heard of. It's in Essex. And funnily enough, actually, this is a bit embarrassing because I didn't really know anything about Essex, and I did have a view of Essex, you know, with Tilley and everything. Let's just be honest about it. But then when I moved there, or we started looking around for places to move to, discovered like well, for a start, it's enormous. The county is so huge. I didn't realise how big it was, and there's so much green space and countryside. It's like really beautiful.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, so we ended up right at the end of Essex on the coast, this little sailing town called Burnham. It was very sweet. And it was literally the antithesis of London. It was quiet, it was sleepy, and there was like hills and the river. So it was very nice.
Oh, now, did you have a bit of a rock and roll upbringing, what with your dad being a musician and all that, or was it just normal? Or perhaps you don't know what normal is.
Yeah, exactly. What is normal? It was quite normal. I do remember we went to Ringo Starr's house once Dad was recording. I think he had like a really big like church organ there for some reason. Who knows why? Yeah. So he went there to record that. So the sort of family went there, and he had these massive dinosaurs in his garden, and we sort of just spent
a proper rock star with mad.
Yeah, as we do. Yeah, so it was quite fun.
Oh, but in general, did you go on the road with him or anything?
No, I didn't. I was really young when he was in bands, and then he worked for the BBC for 20 years, and I was then in like school, and that was kind of when I was sort of living at home.
Yeah.
And teenager.
What did you do for the BBC?
I used to write music for like dramas and just different shows, and yeah.
Oh, I like jobs like that. Creative, but
he loved it. Yeah.
Now, so you're in the world of rock and pop. We had the marvelous what was it? The festival where I first met you, where the job centre became the changing rooms, and I remember we had Mick Jones wandering around the job centre, which was kind of weird. We weren't open. Well, the door was open, but we weren't open to the public. So I was going, that's weird. And so that was good fun.
I thought that was a match with like, because there was a lot of kind of up and coming bands and a few like unsigned bands, and then using the job centre as the green room just seemed so perfect.
I know, hilarious. And then I think there were a few cans of beer left in the fridge on the Monday. Some of the staff were thrilled. I think they pinched them. It was nice. So how did you go upon the path of mindfulness?
So yeah, it's quite a departure. After after sort of being in studios and the festival, after a while, I set up a video production company with my husband. Again, something I don't know. It really came out of the blue. He was working in advertising, and then it kind of just happened. And we've had that now for like over 8 years, 9 years. So that was fun, and it was good for me because it was like creative, but then also the planning side, which I really love, and kind of running stuff.
Have you still run that business now?
I don't anymore. So my husband just has that business, but it's still going. But I kind of tiptoed out of it. So the last few years, like 2 or 3 years, I just kind of backed away. I was like, okay, you can have this now. I'm done with that. So a friend.
I've got information news. Do you know Wendy May? But anyway, she told me Ian Dury sang a song about Burnham on Birch or whatever you
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Great fact. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so a friend of mine he was in Thailand. He'd moved to Thailand and he was working for a mindfulness organization out there. And I'd literally never heard of the word. I had no idea what it was or like anything at all. And so he mentioned they ran these courses, and I thought, yeah, that sounds good. I'll give that a go. I kind of love a bit of self-development, a bit of therapy. Like, it's great, and I always suggest it to people, or recommend doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, give it a go. And I can honestly say it was kind of like a light bulb moment for me, because there was like a few things that I learned that wasn't like, it's not really complicated concepts or anything, but things just like clicked in terms of it being really practical, but really immediate. Like with therapy, you can be talking for years about stuff, which is great. And it's not a replacement for that at all. I would never say that. But I think the combination of having done sort of longer talking therapies and then having this sort of practical approach to this amazing wisdom. I mean, it's like thousands of years old, right? It was just amazing. And so I just needed more of it. I was like, I need another course. And then it just I decided to train. So I went to Thailand to do my training, which was amazing. And yeah, just sort of slowly kind of grew my business and thought, yeah, this is going to have to be my life now, because there's really something with it. And I think the more I practiced, the more I changed in my own life, and the more I saw even things that I wasn't really directing this mindfulness approach to were changing and improving. Like my marriage, for example, our relationship definitely got better from just doing this stuff. And I wasn't even particularly thinking it needed that. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, actually it did.
Oh, and so when you're a mindfulness teacher, or what's it called?
Well, I go by mindfulness coach, but I think it's quite a new term. I think a lot of people don't really.
And do you have groups of people, or you do one-to-one, or how do you sort of run?
Both. Yeah, so one-to-one. I do one-to-one work with people. So they come to me with like so many different things. And it's normally that kind of sense of like rushing and overwhelm that people feel in their lives, and they just need a bit of space, like in their own minds and in their life. But then often other things come up, and then normal life, it's like everyday life stuff, we've all got a ton of it. So that's one-to-one. And then I do work with companies as well. So I teach teams some kind of practical skills, tools that they can use, like for mindfulness at work, basically, because it can be really stressful when I don't know, just work never ends, does it? Like, it's just a constant to-do list.
Since the day I retired from that job centre, my life has improved 1,000,000%.
Wow, yeah.
How long
ago was that, Sue? How long ago was that now?
About 5 years ago, I think. But it was just like, always, like, I can never understand how politicians can sleep at night. There's even a little problem at work would keep me awake at night, worrying, thinking, have I done this right? Have I done this? Have I upset someone? And then that's how I wonder how people like Boris Johnson can actually have a moment's sleep. But I mean, you know, I haven't got proper jobs now, but even this, sometimes I'm a little worried that I haven't done it right. But in general, it's nice.
Yeah, I think there's ways to approach work that mean that by the end of the day, you're not collapsing into bed thinking,
Yeah.
oh, can't do that again tomorrow. It's too much, you know, because, you know, most of the time, you know, we want to do a good job and we want to get through everything we want to get through, but there's just always more. And sort of having that approach, and there's some, you know, really great little techniques that help with, for a start, like monotasking instead of multitasking, which like the brain can't actually do. It's a myth that we can do that. It's always just darting around. So you're never doing one thing properly. And there's no wonder you feel completely manic and frazzled at the end of the day, because it's just not sustainable.
I know, I don't think I can concentrate anything more than about 3 minutes. You know, like nowadays with your phone, you always look like I'm watching a telly program. I think, who's that? Are they dead? Who are they married to? And I get on my phone, so I miss what I'm watching, and I get myself in such a muddle. But that's, you know, that shows how easy my life is. That's what worries me.
But it is really, it's so normal, Sue. Like you're, you know, most of us feel like that. I have to really watch myself and like bury my phone, hide it somewhere sometimes, because the temptation to just pick it up and not focus on one thing. You know, it's a training. Like mindfulness is a way to train your mind. So it takes effort, and you know, you gotta be committed to doing it. It's not super easy. Like it sounds simple, but it's not easy. Maybe I should explain what mindfulness is. All right, so there's quite a lot written about it now. I mean, I'm sure everyone that's on here tonight has heard about it in some way. But so the difference, for a start, between mindfulness and meditation, this often gets a bit like muddled. And so meditation is one of the main ways that we train our mind. So it's like going to the gym, the mind gym, you know, so you're kind of training it to do certain things, and training it with certain skills. And mindfulness is really, it's a way of life. So you can be mindful about anything, about how you eat, how you interact with somebody, how you talk to yourself, you know, everything. And meditation is how we kind of build up those skills and tools to then use, you know, in the wider world. So that's kind of the difference. But I suppose how to explain mindfulness, I suppose simply, is to be fully aware in the present moment without judgment. And that sounds quite simple, but it's quite hard because, as you know, Sue, you know, our minds are like darting off all the time, being distracted by this or that or the other. Like we have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts every day. And so there's a lot going on up there. So you can't listen to all your thoughts. I mean, it's just too much going on. So, you know, mindfulness gives us a way to kind of filter out like what we want to listen to and what we don't, like what we can identify then as unhelpful thoughts, things that are just quite damaging, you know, like for a start, how we talk to ourselves. We can be so harsh on ourselves, and it's really, really not helpful, and it can make us like physically sick. And so that's one of the ways that it really helps with our mental well-being, because we can kind of check, okay, these are just thoughts, we're not our thoughts, and we can learn to sort of step back from them a little bit and just give them a little bit of space, which can dissolve their power.
And sometimes I think you have to say to yourself, you're allowed to do this. Because I think sometimes you think, oh, I shouldn't just be lying on the settee watching television. But you can lie on the settee and watch television if you want to, if that makes you feel happy. And you shouldn't feel guilty.
Totally.
I think lockdown has probably helped quite a few people. I mean, it's a lot of people it's been a nightmare for, but a lot of people have realised they didn't have to be quite as busy as they thought they had to be.
Yeah, having that space and time like forced upon you, I think is quite interesting. A lot of people I've spoken to have sort of secretly maybe have done a guilty thing about saying actually it was quite good, because
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I needed to stop and just slow down for a minute.
I know a lot of people who've said that, who've been really busy and go, I didn't think I'd cope, but I loved it. They're feeling, they're feeling guilty. Because I mean, obviously it's been really, really horrible for lots and lots of people.
Sure.
But you shouldn't cut yourself up that you're not feeling like that. You should allow yourself to say, I'm lucky. It was all right for me.
Yeah, definitely. There's like that one thing about that sort of non-doing as well is it's like really essential for us to kind of regenerate. We need, like, in terms of sleep, having good quality sleep, is really important for the mind and the brain. But also just doing nothing, like, when do we ever just sort of sit down and look at the sky, or just
I do it quite a lot.
reading? Do you? Brilliant, Sue. I love it.
I know. I'm very late. No, but just yesterday I was just sitting looking at the sea. I've easily filled an hour because so much was happening in that little bit of sea. It was fantastic.
That's so lovely.
I'm very lucky, I have to say.
But I think it's allowing yourself to do that. Like, I think a lot of people find it, we can find it really difficult to stop and be thinking, oh, well, I've got to do this for the kids, or oh, I've still got to read this for work, and just feeling guilty if we are not doing all the time. And sometimes we just need to be.
Exactly. Oh, there we are. Non-doing is a brilliant concept from Maggie.
Oh, great, Maggie. Hope you can do some. Yeah, do some non-doing.
Oh, Maggie's always busy. She shocks me with her busyness. Okay, how can you do that all the time?
Oh, wow.
And what else? What other tips and things have you got to tell us?
Well, something that's really helped me a lot, actually, is the sort of wisdom of not taking things personally. This is a tricky one, and I think I didn't realize how personally I took stuff until I sort of started learning about this and practicing these concepts and these mindsets. It's sort of formed from the idea of understanding where our personality comes from in the first place. So we build up these emotional and behavioural patterns when we're young. We're really young, and they're often a way of sort of coping and being like accepted in a sort of family group or dynamic or in our society. And often some of these things get outdated and we don't need them anymore, or they're just not helpful. They were once helpful, but they're not anymore. And as we can sort of start to notice, oh, I do that thing and it's really not very helpful or not very nice, or I'm quite, when someone says this sort of thing to me, I get quite kind of haughty about it, but actually it's got nothing, I don't need to be like that anymore. So when we kind of understand ourselves a bit more and understand how we're built, we can understand what other people are going through, which is very similar. We're all going through the similar sort of stuff, and it can really then help to not take things personally when people say things or they behave or they don't say things, because silence and sort of non-contact can also really affect us, right? So all of that can help to, again, take a step back, have a bit of space between that reaction and our own minds and our own emotions, and it can just soften things a bit, and you can think, okay, it's not to do with me, it's actually to do with them. Don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, because I used to get terribly upset at work when people I thought had been horrible to me or whatever, or someone had slighted me. And then suddenly one day I kind of had this magical moment, and I thought, no, just stop worrying about it, because they don't know you're upset about it. So you're worrying about nothing really, because they probably don't even know what they said to you. They didn't know that they upset you. So just pretend it didn't happen. And that really changed a lot in my life when I just learned to realise, oh no, it sounds like just don't bother about things. It's like, I know that's weird as well. Like I never, like complaining to shops and things like that.
Mm.
It used to get me so worked up. When something gone, you ring them up and you can't get through. And in the end, I just went, what's it matter really? I'm just not going to bother. And it just saves trouble.
Mm. It really does, yeah. There's a really great phrase, like, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You have to choose what
Yeah.
battles to fight, really, because so many of them aren't worth fighting. It's just pointless. You'll upset yourself, send yourself mad. So just say, that's what it is. I bought something, it broke. So what?
Yeah.
That's why.
Life is short, and I think we spend so much time worrying about stuff and being annoyed or like just holding on to stuff from the past, and it just takes up so much energy as well. It's exhausting.
I know. So some.
Oh, hey, Dasha.
Yeah,
Dasha lives in Birmingham.
But you don't know what's going on with that person when they're giving you trouble. They might be just having the worst time ever. And I know that when I felt that I was in a really bad mood, I'd be horrible to other people because I felt so bad myself. I wanted to share that badness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. And there's, I mean, one of the major things about mindfulness is compassion to ourselves and compassion to other people. And that sort of ties in with that non-judgmental awareness. So when we're non-judgmental about people, what they do, what they say, it can just completely change a scenario, or a situation or a work, how you work with these people, or a relationship. It's you bringing like a curious mind instead of that judgmental. Oh my God, you're doing that again. That's so annoying. I hate it when you blah, 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 blah. And instead be like, okay, well, that's who that person is. That's what they're doing. It's not hurting me, and just accepting people for who they are. I mean, there's so much. Oh my God, we could talk about this all night, but
I know, fascinating. But I love knowing about people and how their minds work and what they do, and it's fascinating. I mean, yeah, I'm still judgmental. I'm a right old bitch sometimes. I can't help myself. But when I am, I don't really mean it. It's just for my own entertainment.
A little lashing out here and there.
Yeah. I don't want to be too goody-goody.
Of course
I
not.
want
So I was gonna maybe share a story with you about. So there's quite a few things that I've changed since I really started learning about mindfulness and using it every day, because it is for every day. It's not just this kind of weird, like woo-woo spiritual kind of weird thing. Like, it's really practical, and the whole point of why it's so good is that you can use it in everyday situations. So like from tiny things like, okay, so a really tiny, silly example of when I eat, I eat really fast. I like hoover my food. And I was starting to get like indigestion. I was like, but I've just always eaten like that. So kind of bringing a sort of mindful approach to eating means I really enjoy my food so much more. I'm actually tasting all the stuff rather than just like chucking it down me. So kind of small things like that, I suppose, to like really changing old stories that we hold on to from the past. Like, this is a really big one, I think. Like, letting go of past stuff it's a real game changer, actually. So it was for quite a long time. I'll start at the beginning.
I like this.
Okay.
So, comfy, everyone. Yeah.
Get comfy. Yeah. So when I was about 15, my dad told me, well, my parents told me together actually, that my dad had been married before.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this before then. And they also told me that he had a daughter. They weren't in touch anymore. And so as 15, you can imagine, it's like, what? This is like crazy news. Also, I had bothered my parents for 15 years for a sibling. So I was like, my God, you could have told me this like before. anyway, so it was kind of a shock, but because Dad wasn't in touch with them,
Yeah.
I found it quite weird in terms of what to do with that. Like 15, I was a kid, you know, so as a kid, you're not gonna go, right, okay, I'm gonna do this. Well, maybe some kids do, Greta, you know, for a start, Thunberg, but I didn't. I felt quite naive as a 15-year-old, I think. So I was like, okay, well then that's just a bit of information. I'm not sure what to do with that. So I didn't do anything about that. And it was sort of like one of those conversations just came and went, and then just life carried on. So it was like over the years, it kind of really started bothering me, or I kept thinking about it a lot. I would start thinking about her and who she was, where she was, and I started to look for her online, because this was in the time of like Friends Reunited and that sort of thing. Do you remember them? Yeah, so sort of like I was searching, and I didn't really know what I was searching for. I had her first name, and kind of that was it really, and didn't really get anywhere. But it was quite weird, because anyone that sort of knows me knows that if I put my mind to something, it's going to happen. I'm quite dogged about it. Like I'm quite organised and I'm quite driven, and so if I decide to do something, it's probably going to happen. And the fact that I hadn't found her or anything was quite strange. And it wasn't until probably a good year or so into my mindfulness practice that I realised what was going on there about that, because it was still really bothering me. And at this point I was, you know, like in my 40s, you know, and I was thinking, what, I want to meet my sister. I want to know her. But I realised that I was holding on this story from the past, the story that I'd made up myself. It wasn't even true. It wasn't factual. It was just something I'd created, which was around, I was just so worried about what my dad would think, and also whether my sister knew that her dad was her dad, or whether she knew that I existed, she knew any of this. And I'd made assumptions based on not knowing.
Yeah.
And so I sort of held on to these assumptions and thought, oh my God, that sounds terrible. So I'm not going to do anything about that, because it might really hurt her, and then my dad might be upset. And I was just like, oh my God, it was exhausting. Like we were talking about earlier about all these kind of things that we hold on to. It's just, it was just sort of really emotionally exhausting. And so sort of being able to kind of pick that apart a little bit, and then sort of let that go, and sort of get to the point where I felt it was more important now to feel uncomfortable about going through that stuff than to leave it now. Because I wanted to find my sister. So I decided that was it. So I found a private investigator, and I hired a private investigator, and he found her in like 2 weeks. It wasn't hard. And I remember when he emailed me saying that he'd found her, I was just like, oh my God, I just like cried straight away.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And so then I wrote her a letter that he sent on, because you have to be careful about direct contact, right? And you've got to do it professionally, and you know. So I wrote her a letter, and I think it was about 3 weeks before. Well, I was just waiting. I didn't have a reply.
How
it was like
for those 3 weeks. Every day for the postman going,
I know, right? I was. It was really interesting watching what my mind was doing over those 3 weeks, because initially I was like really excited. So I sent a letter, and I was like, yeah, great. Oh my God, I'm going to hear from her. And then as the time went on, I just started getting more and more, obviously like nervous and thinking, okay, so what? I was like, what if ... filling in like a list of all these what ifs. What if she doesn't want to see me? It hadn't even occurred to me at that point. Consciously, I mean, I'm sure I was thinking deep down, oh my God, this is really scary. What if she doesn't want to, meet me? But so I was going through all these what ifs this, what ifs that, and it was a real mess in my mind. But then I got a letter back, and it was just so lovely. And she said she wanted to meet, and I was like, oh, great. And that was literally last year.
Yeah.
The beginning of last year we met.
And how old is she? How much older than you is she?
Yeah, so she's 10 years older than me.
Did she know that who her dad was or anything like that?
Yeah, she did. So she knew that. She also knew that I existed, and that so she knew the kind of story, and she knew who her dad was. But yeah, so we met, and it was so weird. Obviously, we were both really nervous because obviously afterwards so nervous. But it turns out like we had so much in common. And she actually lived in South London. Like she lived anywhere in the world, and she was in South London.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's got 2 kids. It was just so lovely. Anyway, we kind of discovered that we had a lot of similarities like within our personality, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely lovely. So now we've been getting to know each other for the last kind of couple of years, or maybe year and a half now. And it was a really big change. And the things that I was really worried about before, her not knowing and being, sort of kind of being responsible for really, really key information in someone else's life that I was really that's not really my place, or obviously that was completely just made up in my mind. That wasn't true. And then the other thing about being nervous about my dad's reaction, again, I phoned him and told him, and he was just really pleased for me that I'd done that. And I was like, oh God, all those years I had just been.
If you took that step years ago, you wouldn't have had to suffer so long, would you?
I know, but I don't think I was ready. So like, I think I felt like I needed that to do that work to feel comfortable enough to go, okay, yeah, this is uncomfortable, but it's not true, it's not real. Let's give it a go.
Aww.
Tricky,
but
good.
But how do you now? Do you see her often? Do you see her often, or?
Well, we started hanging out in London, but then obviously we moved to Spain, which was just such bad timing. And yeah, I mean, she would have come out here by now, but again, like, we can't have anyone. We haven't been able to have any visitors and stuff. So, but yeah, we're in touch, and we do Zoom calls, and like everyone else is doing. Aww. And she's absolutely lovely. So yeah, no, it's just great.
Oh, how lovely. So sometimes, the moment is right and something happens, doesn't it? Because sometimes I always find this, you're worried about something, in your head, you're worried. And sometimes it just slowly disappears and you forget about it. But other times, someone might say something and you realise that very moment that what you were worrying about was rubbish.
Yes.
You got the wrong end of the stick. And so you're rid of it in that way. Or you're brave enough to ask someone what happened, and you sort of solve your problems. Have you got any nice, simple little trips, like you can do in a few minutes to calm yourself down or anything?
Yeah, so let's have a think. So give me a scenario, Sue. Is there a specific
thing? I'm worried about anything, so I can get a bit of help now. I don't know, just for people are worried about the virus. They think they'll never go out again. They're worried about Christmas. Will they be able to see their friends? Will they be able to see their family? And the thing is, no one can tell us at the moment because we don't know. Yeah. Is there any way to kind of prepare for that?
Yeah. So actually, uncertainty is one of the 3 universal triggers for stress.
Yeah.
So there's just no wonder that everyone is feeling pretty stressed at the moment because of uncertainty. And we can spend our entire lives, as you just listed, all those things, and a never-ending list of stuff that we can think, oh my God, but what if this? Or like, we don't know if we're going to do this. What's going to happen? So one of the main things, obviously, mindfulness is about living in the present moment. It's being aware right now, because all we have is the present moment. We exist in the present. We don't exist in the past or the future. But in our minds, we spend a lot of the time either like ruminating about the past, thinking, oh God, I wish I hadn't said this, or I wish this hadn't happened, da, da, da. Or we live in our minds in the future, which is worrying about Christmas or thinking, am I ever going to go out again, da, da, da. So when we're doing that, what we're not doing is living our lives. That's not where life exists. So we're actually missing out on the present and what's happening right now, which can be, beautiful moments. Like, life is like the beautiful moments of life is kind of connecting with other people, totally even on Zoom, there's staying in touch with people, phone calls, but also just enjoying ourselves and being able to sit with ourselves without that judgment. Like you said, allowing ourselves just to watch TV. If we want to watch TV tonight, we're just going to watch TV in our pajamas and eat chocolate. Like, it's fine. So one thing to just bring ourselves back to that present moment. And I suppose, if you're feeling like you're kind of spinning out a little bit, really, to kind of actually factually name what's going on right now. Like for me right now, I'm sitting in a warm, cozy house. I'm talking to Sue. I've got a drink. I'm not hungry. Like, I'm okay. I'm physically not in danger. Yeah. So sort of naming, it might sound silly, but sort of, or simple, but naming those things can just bring you right back here. It's like, okay, this is happening right now. And usually we're okay right now in the moment. So that it's one of those ways of sort of breaking that thought loop, like you're saying, that kind of negative, oh my God, what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I think maybe what I'm doing for Christmas is preparing myself for worst case scenario. But even that I don't mind. It's like just being in my house on my own.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I've made plans. So how could I enjoy that? I'm quite
That's
good on my
really cool, actually. Worst case, yeah.
Then if anything comes a lot better, that's quite exciting.
Yeah, anything above that is like brilliant, right? Yeah. But I think sometimes, I don't know, like you were saying earlier about a lot of people have actually enjoyed this different way of living, knowing that obviously it's slightly temporary. I mean, we don't know how long it's going to go on for, but what can we enjoy now? What is good about this? And think, everything changes. Everything is constantly in flow. Like if we look at nature, it's constantly changing, and we are nature, so everything changes. And these scenarios can't go on exactly as they are forever, because if we look at history, everything doesn't, nothing does that. So
I know that's what people go, oh, we're changing, everything's not right. I think, well, only 2,000 years ago, much less, 100 years ago, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have computers, and now we just accept them as everyday life. But people then live perfectly happy without those things, if not happier. Mm-hmm. And what's really disgusting me at the moment is high luxury goods. When you still see adverts for like bags that cost £10,000, thinking, what does it matter?
Yeah, it's very unnecessary.
Yeah, just think, why are you even bothering about this? Just as long as oh, that's nice. Debbie went on a mindful self-compassion retreat in Scotland. It changed her life.
Wow, that's amazing,
Debbie, I want to come and visit your new house next week so you can tell me all about it.
Debbie, can you tell us one thing, how it changed your life? I'd love to know just one little one thing about that. That sounds amazing. If you want to share.
Because I hope Debbie doesn't mind me saying this, but she shouldn't even be here. Because I can't remember how many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, she found out she had a brain tumour and she was given a year to live.
Wow.
And she's still here now. Just moved to Bexhill. So I was admire her. She's so brave and just gets on with it. I mean, she's done so well. So I'm sure her. But Debbie, what happened on your course? Can you just type in if you can?
Just give us a little something. Actually, there's another really good, great benefit of mindfulness is better sleep, because so many people do not sleep very well at all. I used to actually have night terrors where I wake up in the middle of the night just like totally crazy.
Yeah.
And it was just really disturbing and quite scary. But yeah, so many people have problems sleeping. But mindfulness can, in the middle of the night, let's say, it's so easy, isn't it? Once you're awake, then your mind's on the on switch, and that's it, it's off. And it's so difficult to stop it. So yeah, learning meditation and practicing meditation can really help in those moments, because you can follow your breath. One of the things, like a quick tip, is bringing your awareness, i.e. being conscious of your body, your breath. Yeah. I know everyone goes on about your breath, but it is the only constant that we have in our life. It's with us from the moment we're born till when we die, and it just keeps going.
When I think about that, gives me the creeps. That we just breathe in the whole time without even knowing.
But it's so brilliant. It's so unique. So it's one of the few things that is automatic in our body, and we can control it. It's quite strange.
Yeah, I find when I can't go to sleep, I'll lie there and you take a long breath in, then hold your breath, slow breath out. It's quite relaxing. I might go to sleep now. But it's weird how you can control it as well.
Yeah. It is really
I say this illness is every night I go to bed and I lie on my bed and I think my bedroom's lovely, it's the same as it always is. But outside in the world, there's all this bizarreness going on that I'm not really part of at the moment.
So when you do that breathing, what happens? Does it calms you down, and then you can go back?
Yeah, then you don't know what happens because you're asleep. And in the morning, I might remember, go that breath. Yeah, Debbie, darling. Yeah, when you are kind to yourself, it spreads, and that's
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point about being kind to yourself is not selfish. Oh, that is so true. Yeah, I think that's a real barrier, I think, for starting to kind of practice, let's say, kind of self-compassion or self-love, because you just think, oh, it's being selfish. And if we are completely on the floor and frazzled and burnt out, we're no good to anybody else. We can't help anybody else. So we have to take care of ourselves, and then we're just naturally kinder to other people when we're kind to ourselves. Yeah, it's a good one. Thanks, Debbie.
I think as well, like when people feel a bit guilty about enjoying the lockdown, I think what you do to that is help people. Like volunteer and be kind to your neighbours and just do little jobs for people if you can. Because helping people, I'd much prefer giving someone a present than receiving one.
Makes you feel really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you do something to someone, they go, "Oh, thank you," and you just think, "Oh, it was hardly a minute for me, but it made a difference to you."
Yeah,
so I think it's nice.
Yeah, it's really good, and actually, it's really amazing because science, like neuroscience, now shows how it improves our kind of overall well-being when we're kind to other people, when we're kind to ourselves, when we practice gratitude as well. They're really simple things that we can practice. Like, for example, at the end of the day, just getting a notebook out rather than on your phone or computer, having an actual physical notebook and writing, say, 3 things that you're grateful for that day. So maybe one thing about something that happened in the day that you're grateful for. And then the second thing may be something that someone else did or said that you're grateful for. And then the third thing, always back to yourself, what are you grateful for yourself for that day? And that's, it just really builds that.
I generally think I'm quite lazy, but every day I like to think of one thing I've done, something I've achieved. Today, this is how pathetic I am. Today it was, I changed my bed. And to be honest, that's a nightmare, changing the sheets on my bed. I do it every 2 weeks. Oh, it kills me. But then I did that. Well, I thought, right, that's it. I've done for the day. I've achieved something.
It is. And that is exactly about what you're saying, sort of not being judgmental about those things. It can be quite enjoyable, or just feeling really grateful that you've done something, even, not even that, but even just getting out of bed is something to be.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a good thing, I was wondering if there's any like questions or anything that anyone wants to ask. And
We've only got 10 minutes left. Can you believe that?
oh my God, it's gone so quickly.
Yeah, so any questions or any tips or any help you require, please feel free to ask.
In like a specific situation, even if you're happy to kind of share it. And then, you know, there's probably a mindfulness tip that can maybe help. I don't know. I think one of the things like that I often come back to is about not taking every thought we have seriously. It's honestly, it can change your day. If you can fixate on a thought, or you know, a certain type of thought, and you can have a certain type of day following that, or realize we're not our thoughts. They're just things that happen, tens of thousands of them are just like coming out our brain. And actually we choose, okay, I'm gonna think about something else. Or do you know, think about it in a different way. It's really can just sort of free it up a little bit.
Try and be nice to one person a day. Do something for someone. Oh, she likes to give a hot drink to a homeless person. That's lovely.
That's really nice.
Instead of sitting there going, why are they homeless?
That's good.
You know, there's so many things that are so vile. You know, like I know I shouldn't go, but the Conservative Party, sometimes the things they do and say, so upsetting. But then at the same time, you find lots of people think like you do. Like at the weekend, the people help refugees, hadn't they put all banners up welcoming the refugees? And, you know, it's so opposite to what the Tory party want to do, but it's being kind. I mean, those poor people can't help where they were born, can they? We're lucky to have been born.
That's a really good point, actually, about how politics can really evoke like strong emotional reactions in us. Obviously, at the moment, you know, we're living a very political time. Well, everything's politics anyway, but particularly at the moment, there's a lot of politics on the news, and it can really make us feel quite anxious because we're powerless. You know, we feel helpless and powerless. You know, we watch all this stuff, and sometimes I got to a point. Actually, the last election, I was watching so much news, it was making me really stressed and anxious. Yeah. I could just feel it in my body, you know, it was like, I was not happy, you know, my body was not happy, and I had to just cut it off like cold turkey. I was like, I've got to just stop watching the news for a bit. And it definitely changed. Yeah. And now it's kind of with the US election coming up, I've started to watch the news again, and I'm checking more and more. And again, I can feel myself feeling anxious. And I think there's that, for me anyway, it's kind of getting that balance between knowing what's going on in the world, because it's good to be informed for sure, and overwatching, over-reading stuff that we just can't do anything about. There's a balance.
I've tried to treat it as a comedy show, to be honest. But then at the same time, you look at Donald Trump and you think, he's got all these people who like him. How come? Can they not see what an idiot he is? And it's just so shocking.
I know, it's remarkable.
Yeah. There we go. What's the difference between mindfulness and thoughtfulness?
Okay, great question. So a sort of a simple definition of mindfulness is to be present, fully aware, without judging, without any judgment, which is like being open and curious, and being fully aware and conscious. And the way, I suppose, to describe that is what it's not, which is being lost in thought. So the opposite of being fully aware is being completely carried off by our thoughts, and you're lost. Like, so an example maybe is you're driving home from work or whatever, somewhere, and you get home and you think, oh my God, how did I get home? I can't even remember how I did that. Because what's happening is you're just being dragged along by this kind of thought journey, which you're totally entangled in, and you've got no actual real consciousness about like where you turned and you might have said hi to someone on the way home, but like you just got no clue that that's happened. Yeah, so that's one way of, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
I often do. I think, how on earth did I get home? It's worrying. We've only got about 5 minutes left, so apparently some people have sent their pictures in already, which hopefully we'll see in a minute. But if anyone else has got any, they can quickly send in. But it's all right if you send them late, because then we'll save them all up.
Brilliant. Oh, it's been really nice to chat to you.
I know, we've still got more time. Still another 5-10 minutes to go.
Okay.
So any other little tips you could give us? Or any questions, anyone? I love a question.
I love a question. I like real life stuff that I can help with, because I think that's where mindfulness is useful. It's not, you can't really learn it from a book. I mean, it's great and really interesting to read about it, of course, but like you've got to really do it to
Say, for instance, someone really felt they wanted to do one of your courses or something. How would they get in touch with you?
You can go onto my website and there's like a whole bunch of stuff on there about courses or like working with me one-to-one, which is it's online mindfulnesscoach.com.
Yeah.
And there's loads of info on there. But I mean, there's also loads of other courses out there, and I think what's really important is to find the right person or the right organization or whatever that means something to you, that you like and you're drawn to. Because I think one of the really cool things about really learning something well and like really being engaged in it and inspired is feeling that connection either with a person or with the group of people that are facilitating the course or whatever, because I think that's really key. So yeah, try some different stuff out and go and talk to other people if you're looking to do this sort of stuff, because it really can be life-changing.
I think sometimes, you have to learn to say no or leave something, because I was a great one with saying yes to everything. I was thinking, what? And then after a while, I think, what earth am I doing? And to be honest, a couple of years ago when I was here, someone offered me a job and I was doing it. I thought, why am I doing this? I absolutely hate it. I hate it. And I just got up and walked out and went, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. And I was so shocked at myself because I don't do things like that. But I realised that little job was making me stressed and I didn't want to do it.
That's really,
by stopping it, it saved me all that worry.
But it's interesting that you said it's not something I do, but you did it. And that's another really cool thing about kind of being aware of how we like label ourselves, because it can be really restricting. Oh, I'm not the kind of person to do art, I'm not very good at this. But actually, maybe the more we enforce those things, then the less we're likely to try something. I
know. I think trying something, Oh, look at
that's so cool.
I don't know who did that. I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow. Oh, nice.
That's so cool. I love it.
They've got your top nice. Oh, nice. Nice shelves.
Yeah, really lots of detail, and that's so cool.
Oh, Joe Garn did that.
Very
good.
Oh,
I can tell that's my friend Karen. She's got, because she couldn't draw, so she came to my class and she loves them. It's changed her. That's such a beautiful picture.
Amazing. They're all lovely.
There'll be more tomorrow. Oh, a little question. Oh, this is my friend Parinot from Bangkok.
Ooh, okay. Between complacency and mindfulness. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to assume that I know what you mean by complacency. Do you mean sort of not caring, just letting everything go and sort of that kind of thing? Because mindfulness is really just about being present. So you can be complacent about something mindfully, if that makes sense. You can be ambivalent about a subject or a person, but if you're mindful and it's about just being aware, really. If you're aware of what you're doing, then we have choices, and perhaps it can give you some more information where perhaps you didn't know before. If you're aware, if you're not aware, you've got no clue, you've got no choices, you can't change, you can't have an informed opinion. But when you're really aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it, it can change your perception of things.
You can be complacent, or you can be aware that you're complacent, and then you can do something about your complacency
if you want to. I mean,
yeah.
You might, if you're mindfulness really helps with things that you want to kind of like improve or change or remove in your life. Like if you're perfectly happy with something, then you don't need to change anything. That's great.
Parry not come to London. So he he went to Goldsmiths, then he had to go back to Bangkok, because of visas and all that. I think he was spoilt by London. It was too exciting for him. So Parry not, your friend Rui's down here at the moment. He's having a nice time. So if you come back to London, you come and visit him. And so really, that's our hour up. I could talk to you forever. You've got such a lovely, calm voice.
Oh, thanks,
it's really nice and peaceful. Nice. And I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat. It's been lovely. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it as well. Oh yeah, Parry not sends hearts.
Thank you.
I love the fact we have an international audience.
It's very cool.
I hope you've drawn something, Parry not, because you are a nice, proper artist. I like your drawings.
So what time is it in Bangkok? It must be really late. I think they're ahead of us.
Yeah, it's probably early morning, I imagine.
9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I think wait, is it 4 in the morning? No, it can't be.
Parry not, he stays up late. I've got up early, one or the other. Oh yeah, I know.
Wow.
I'll get very confused with times.
I know, I can't.
At the moment, I get confused with a lot. I hardly ever even know what day it is. I know. Well,
2:30 in the morning. Okay.
Oh, that's not too bad. He's a night child. Oh, Debbie, thank you for joining. And Debbie, I'm going to be in touch. Oh, Suzanne Patterson, thanks.
Thank you.
I hope everyone's learned. Oh, not everyone. I hope someone's learned something from this, because I have. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I just think more what we can do, more to help people. Because if you help someone, you're helping yourself.
Absolutely. And slow down, I think. Yeah, space. We need a bit of space in our minds.
Karen, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
Maggie enjoyed it. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. Debbie, see, you're being very kind. You're not being spiteful. You're saying enjoy them. Oh, Vanessa, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I love your drawings. Oh, I like it because it's a lot of these people, I don't know who they are, but I just feel I know them from on here.
Oh, have you got listeners that come every week now?
Oh, yeah. Some of them I've known for ages. And then when I go out when lockdown finished and I went out, people were going to me, I didn't even know, just stopping me going, oh, I really love your art class and this. And I was going, it was so lovely.
That's really nice.
So that was someone being kind to me that made me feel good.
You're spreading the love, Sue.
I do try in my own bizarre way. And what my favourite is, making people be friends. I love doing that. Because down there's a lot of new people come, so I like to introduce them.
Yes.
But here it's easy.
Will you do this back again, like in real, like face to face in the
Hopefully,
public?
yeah, I hope so much. I mean, my friend's got a studio at the moment that's huge, but I'm still really nervous about doing it because I think you can't even share pencils and paper because someone might have touched and I've been thinking in my head how to do it, like putting all the paper out on the floor, but someone's bound to flip over and touch it, and it's just too worrying.
People have to wear masks if they're inside, or
they're meant to, and then it's so uncomfortable wearing a mask. And
you need it to be summer, then you can do it outside on the beach.
True, that's a good. Yeah, that's a long time coming. That'll be another 6 months.
But
I just try and think of some way to do it because it's so nice and it's so enjoyable for everyone. Like sometimes I had 15 people together, but it was silence because everyone was concentrating. But kind of that communal concentration was really enjoyable.
Yeah, you can just like feel it. Yeah.
Feel everyone just working and concentrating. It was lovely.
Really nice.
Oh, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Oh, I haven't told you, next week, my guest is, to be honest, one of the participants who often participates, who I've known for a very, very long time, called Donald Urquhart, who's a proper artist, but previous run clubs in London and did a bit of drag, and he lived in Paris. I mean, he's got proper galleries, proper artists and everything, and he's very amusing. And he used to be my postman. So there you go.
I love that intro.
Yeah, used to be by my postman. I used to write notes on my letters, put them through the door, go, why are they writing to you?
That's so cool. I love it.
So that's a treat next week. So remember that in your diaries. And thank you very much, Kate. And thank you everyone for watching.
You're welcome.
And
pleasure.
See everyone next week. Bye. And I'll put your pictures up tomorrow. Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.